listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level. Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome. You are watching USA Global TV and listening on Business Talk Radio. Our show right now is fashion, fitness, travel, and leisure. I'm your host, executive producer, director, and broadcast engineer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. And backstage with us today is my co-host, the star of our show, Diann Floyd Boehm. Welcome, Diann. So nice to see you.
Thanks. It's great to be here. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. Well, you've had quite a journey. You've been moving and you have a launch. So thank you for taking the time out to be with us today. How are you feeling?
I feel great. And I love doing this show. So being with you and being with all the fabulous guests and people around the world, it makes my day. So.
Well, I feel the same about you, so thank you. And before we bring our guest out, I just want to share with our audience a little bit about the work that you're doing, and then I want to kind of dive deep into our guest's background, personal stylist, image consultants. There's so much to talk about there, especially as we are hopefully emerging from the pandemic. But Diann, tell us about the work that you've done as an award-winning international children's book author and teacher and former actress and beauty pageant contestant, winner. I mean, it goes on and on. World traveler. Tell us what you're up to today.
You're always so kind to me. Thank you. I feel very blessed and honor all the people who've helped me on my journey. So I have my new book coming out, Rise, Girls Struggle for More, which is based on my grandmother's life. And it's really exciting because the backstory is everybody that's working in Oklahoma where it takes place is, laying down the groundwork for me to be there at 2 different museums and be with the kiddos and et cetera. So I'm very excited and grateful to all those people who are helping to make it happen. And my brain is always thinking, I really want to get back to doing a lot of humanitarian work. There's so much here in our own country and people that need help. And so I'm looking at ways that I can get back into doing that. And because that makes my heart sing when I know that I've given back. So that's what I'm up to, just a little bit.
Thank you, Diann. And you bring up something that resonates with me. It's so important, is helping other people, lifting other people up, giving whatever you can in whatever way to help somebody else on their journey.
That's absolutely right. And I feel like if you've been blessed, even in the tiniest blessings, it's still a huge blessing to yourself. Maybe not to someone else's size, but every tiny step in your journey is a blessing. And it's important to turn around and figure out how to help someone else, even if it's just, I've gone and helped people make sure they had a good Thanksgiving and things like that, because I want them to know that they're valued in their life on earth, and I want them to find their way.
It's truly beautiful. Thank you, Diann. All right, let's bring out our guest, Solita Roberts. She's a personal stylist and image coach. Hello, welcome.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. This is going to be wonderful. So thanks again for having me. Pleasure meeting both of you. This is the first time and I'm so stoked to meet you both. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'm so glad we had a few minutes to chat backstage, because I'm really feeling like today, it seems to be with the shows that we're doing a lot about rebirth, looking at where you are, how you're showing up in the world. And so before we dive into that, Solita, how did you get interested in the area of style, image, and coaching?
Oh, thank you again for, having me here. I'm going to give you the short story, not the long story. The long story started with me being in banking and finance, very petite. I'm 5 feet. And I needed my presence to be powerful when I stepped into those rooms. And I found that working on my personal style and paying attention to what I wore really helped me to make a mark in that industry and make a mark in the rooms that I go in. But the short story is, I think this is the most powerful one for me more than anything. We've all gone through so many different changes over the last couple of years. But for me personally, I didn't say this backstage, but having moved from Antigua to the US a couple of years ago, I felt as though I lost my entire identity. Like, who am I? I moved from everything that I was accustomed to, everything that was normal, everything that I knew and was familiar to me. And so living in a new space, not having a community, not having friends, I felt as though I lost my identity. I lost my confidence. Didn't know what that meant in terms of what would my life look like. And one day I sat down and say, okay, you have to take control of this. And how do I want to take control of this? It's like, I need to align my goals, the way I show up, my body, my mindset. And that's how it basically started for me. I made that decision at that point. If it worked for me, then obviously there are other women who are struggling this way and they need to regain and reclaim their life. And dressing your best is definitely one of those things that will help.
Wow, thank you so much. There's so much to unpack from what you just said. First of all, talking about walking into this room with what we all perceive to be powerful people, right? And I'm 5'3", and it's like, oh, how am I going to show up in this room and carry my own and let people respect me and know that I'm here? So that was one thing. And then a major move, leaving your country and then coming into a complete different culture and environment. That's congratulations on overcoming both of those. That's huge.
Oh, thank you very much. I mean, it's when I thought about it, I worked in banking for 15 years and I'm one of those persons, like I'm an introvert, but when it comes to the working environment, I pack a punch. Like I will come in there, I have a voice, I'm going to let you know my opinion, I'm going to give you my ideas. But I found that most persons underestimated my value because of my size. Right. So I wanted to kind of like change the narrative whenever I enter those rooms. Yes, I'm 5 feet. I'm petite. There's nothing that I can do about that. But I didn't want them to focus on that, but more like, okay, be intrigued as to who is this little person that's coming in here looking this powerful. Right. So that was the whole idea behind me entering those rooms, to feel as powerful as I can, because I want to change the perception of how people perceived me and more of in line with how I want to be perceived. So, yeah.
That's powerful, and congratulations. And it's so important. You know, you can be 6 feet tall and you can look really small if you don't present yourself in the right manner.
Absolutely.
Great for you.
Absolutely. I mean, thank you. It doesn't, and this is the thing, it doesn't matter your size or your age, it's how you present yourself in that room, right? Your level of confidence and how you brand your message. And for me, what I've discovered and working with my clients, presentation matters. People will form in that first couple of seconds, an opinion as to who you are. I mean, I talked about it the other day where I've always been perceived as that person who is I'm either a lawyer or a teacher. Like when persons see me, they're like, oh, you're a lawyer or you're a teacher? It's like, no, I'm not. But I'm not. It creates a level of conversation. It creates confidence, and that's what you want. Your presence and what you wear, you need to make it in such a way that it creates conversation. It helps you to build the relationships that you need. So, yeah.
I would love to know what were some of the changes that you made, because we're not using pivot. We decided that today. We're so sick of that word pivot. But when you think about how you showed up initially in the financial industry and going into these meetings versus some of the changes that you incorporated, can you share them with us?
Oh, yes. And this is something that I talk about all the time with my clients. You have to dress according to the industry, your goals, and where you're going. The way you will dress in, like I dressed in the banking industry, is not the way that I'm dressing right now. In the banking industry, we all know that it's a little bit traditional, it's a little bit structured. There are institutions that do have uniform, and those uniforms does nothing. As someone who wore uniforms once, I know it does not do anything for your first impression. It doesn't do anything for your confidence. You just wear it because you have to wear it. So that was one of the things working in the banking industry. I wore navy blue. I wore, at one point, they gave us a maroon color uniform, right? So those are the colors that I wore, but it wasn't tailored necessarily to my personal style. There was nothing to it. I did not get a chance to express who I am and show up in a way. So when I got into personal styling, image coaching, and starting my business, I needed to shed that corporate industry life and look and become more of myself. Like, what are some of the things that I like? I love a feminine look. I love to be able to tap into not just look powerful, but also tap into the fact that I love pink. Like, you can see that on my nails. This is like my statement piece that I do. I always wear pink nails. You'll see there's a bow on my shirt. So these are some of the things that I'm now able to incorporate into my personal style, which is a true representation of my brand and a true representation of who I am. So you have to decide for yourself, even if you're working in the banking industry, let's take that for an example. You have to think about, how can I incorporate some of my personality to it? And early in my career, I did not think about this. I did not think about this. I wore exactly what they told me to wear, and I just went to work. But I can tell you, I was depressed. I wasn't happy. I didn't feel motivated going to work. So to incorporate some of your personality into it, even if you wear a uniform, look at the dress code. What are some of the wiggle rooms that you have? Can you wear leopard pumps instead of black shoes? Can you wear a colored bag? What can you wear? And I think those are some of the changes that I've realized that, okay, I can make, because I want to come across a little bit more softer, a little bit more feminine. I want to come across a little bit more creative. And these are some of the things that I've done in my style to really make that transition from corporate to now being an entrepreneur.
Thank you so much. I love that. So many great tips that you just shared. I have just a quick story reminded me of. So I retired from my corporate career last year during the pandemic. And before that, I was in the event space. I sold meetings and events, employee recognition, for 18 years almost. So I would go on site for the programs that we sold. And there were times that I would get dressed as a travel director, like the rest of our team who was serving the clients. And so it was, depending on the client, it was different. So this was a white polo with blue pants or blue shorts. And I thought, I'm going to change it up just a little and make it mine. So I put on this beautiful Ralph Lauren scarf, just a small scarf. It was tied around here. And so we had the picture of the team, and I was in the picture with it. I got some flack from people in leadership about the fact that I stepped out of the box because I had this little scarf on. What are your thoughts about that?
No, you see, that's the thing. And this is where I think we have to learn how to step into our own and step into our own space and showing up as ourselves. Because society wants to put us in a box, right? And if you try in any way, shape, or form to say, this is who I am, I'm going to do something differently to show who I am, there's that cross section that's going to look at you and be like, okay, why did you do that? Do you think you're better than us? But it's not that. It's just a simple matter of you expressing your personality. What I like to do, because a lot of women are holding back from really stepping into their purpose because of that, because of other people's opinion, because they don't want to stand out, so to speak. So, they're retreating, they're leaving their true personality in the back, at the door, instead of showing up. It's know your message. Understand what your message is, understand what your goals are, because there is someone within that institution who may understand and notice that you are different, and you being different in a good way, you cannot go wrong with changing and really taking your career or your business to that next level. So don't be afraid to show up. People are going to talk one way or the other. They're going to have an opinion. It's up to you to determine, is the opinion of that person going to affect how you show up? Is it going to affect what you want to achieve? If it's not, then I say 100% show up as yourself.
Excellent.
That's
Really,
great.
really fantastic. I just one more thing that came to mind, and Diann, I want to go over to you. So, another situation in business, I'm from the East Coast, and I did a lot of work that was in the Midwest, and so I'd show up in a red suit and red nails and red lipstick, and I had platinum blonde hair at the time, and I got criticized on that. That's you don't show up in the Midwest wearing red. And I said, well, but I'm not from the Midwest, and I need to be true to myself. Like, this is, I remember exactly what I said. I said, listen, I'll wear a hay bag. I'll wear a trash bag. I'll wear whatever it takes if that's what you think makes a difference. But people are going to buy from me because they relate to me, not because they're offended by the color red.
Yeah.
I don't know. So what are your thoughts on that?
So, okay, so my opinion in that is, I've always, one of the things that I teach my clients is always ensure that you are appropriately dressed for the environment that you're going. You have to also take stock of what is the culture, what is the age, what is the race, and what is the belief and understanding of the people in the room. You always want to make sure that you are just a level above, but not necessarily going too much overboard. In that particular instance, it's a simple matter of them not being accustomed to seeing that in that space, in that environment. And here is it, someone is showing up into their space, being themselves, like you are being yourself. This is what you're accustomed to. This is who you are. But to them, it's foreign. To them, it's like different. And sometimes when things are different, we tend to think it's strange. We tend to not accept it. But I think one of the most important things, and I'll keep saying this, is to ensure that you're showing up as yourself 100% of the times. But what I would do differently in that case is like, okay, because there may be a larger percentage of the population that'll be like, okay, I'm not relating to you because you look so different. It's like, what are some of the aspects or some things from this particular culture can I incorporate in my dressing? Yes, I'm going to still wear my red, but there's going to be a tiny piece of maybe a jewelry or handbag or something that they can relate to that speaks to them. I remember working for, when I worked in wealth management, my boss had this particular thing that he would do to ensure that he's relatable. I remember he was meeting a client from Japan, and one day he was like, Solita, which watch to wear, this one or this one? I'm like, they're both beautiful. Just wear whichever one it goes with your outfit. He's like, no, but I'm meeting this client from Japan, and this one was made in Japan, and this one wasn't. Ultimately, he decided to go with the watch that was made by the Japanese watchmaker, because when he got into our room with that client, there was something that they can talk about and, building that bond and that trust and that relationship. So whenever you're getting dressed, if you're going into a new environment, totally new, totally different, totally strange, that may not necessarily accept all of you 100%, you're not checking yourself at the door. I'm never going to encourage anyone to do that. But it's, what can you incorporate to have so it's, they see you on their level and you're able to have that conversation to build that like no trust that you need.
That was so good. There's so much to that.
Thank you.
I related to you and had so many stories going through my brain from experiences of living overseas as well as in our own country. But Dr. Jacalyn, as a teacher, you dress a certain way. But before I was a teacher, I was doing a lot of modeling, so I would wear clothes that were appropriate for teaching, but they had a little flair to it, which the kids just loved. Yeah. But the teachers were like, "Oh my gosh," and I got so much flack. And then you fast forward, and I'm overseas, and I'm a vice president of the American Women's Group. And so you're speaking to a lot of different the audience is basically the same, but your guest speakers are different, and how you dress with those particular guest speakers that might be from other countries, like you mentioned, you have to be sure that if you need to have your hair covered because you don't offend them, what is the culture? And so you just gave so many valid points.
Yeah, you keep those things in mind because, again, as you said, you want to show up and be relatable, right? We want to be relatable. We want to be accepted, but it's also equally it's important that we show up as ourselves. But what are some little things that you can do just to show respect to the different culture or the understanding as to what level that person is on? You're not trying to supersede them. You're just like, okay, this is me, but I also acknowledge that this is who you are as well.
Right. Do your homework. So
Exactly.
I know, Dr. Jacalyn, you'll appreciate this. I know I was going to meet some pretty high level people in England. And so I went and I made sure I studied exactly how to hold my hands when I held a purse and what colors never to wear on the nails for this particular person. And it was fascinating, and I actually just loved it. But also moving on to, like, for today, when you mentioned, you might be wearing a uniform, but if there's something extra that you could add. So I purposely wore this blouse, which is very traditional, but for interviews, but I love to wear cameo, so put on cameo, but I love lace and ruffles. That's totally me. So I knew what you were saying about Venom, and so you can't see it very much, but this particular blouse has ruffles all the way going down. So,
I love that.
It's like, okay, she knows how to dress conservative for this particular business meeting, but she has a little bit of herself going on.
Exactly. And people appreciate that, right? I think we get into this mindset that because maybe one or two persons around us gave us some negative comment or, said something or judged us in a way that we hold on to that instead of looking at all the different experiences that we can get, like people knowing exactly who we are. That's, to me, is more important than trying to fit into a space that does not appreciate who you are 100%. So be appropriate, but add your personality to it. Show up as, because when I connect to you, it's like, oh my gosh, I love that blouse. That's a conversation. And you can tell me everything about who you are without it being jarring as to, you meet someone for the first time, and you're trying to introduce yourself and we get into that business spiel of, this is, it's like, no, something, you look at me, and I get this all the time. I walk into rooms and I'm an introvert. I am not that individual who would walk into a room and go, hey, everyone, I'm Solita. Like, I'm not that person. I generally warm up better when someone approaches me first. And that is whenever I think about, going to an event and what is the message. If I'm going to a networking event with women, in a particular industry and they are on a particular level, it's like, what is the message do I want to give? What do I want to send? And what can I wear? So you will see me wearing colors. Like, if you go on my social media, I am in colors because it taps into my, not only my personality, but it also taps into me being able to share with you. Some people say, oh, I love how you mix and match colors. How did you do that? Then I can share with you my person, where I got it from, in that I'm from Antigua. It's the Caribbean, but I love Carnival. That's a conversation piece. If I say Carnival, you're like, oh, what's Carnival? And we end up having whole conversation on it. You get to know me on a more personal level. I get to know you as well on a more personal level. And from that, we're building relationships. But if we step into the room in that box that people think we're supposed to look and act and sound, then you're not allowing yourself to really connect on a deeper level and build those relationships that you need.
Absolutely.
That was fantastic. Solita, I want to talk about your love of Carnival, and also I want to find out how you work with your clients. So first we're going to take a break and hear from some of our sponsors, and we'll be right back. So stay with us. We'll be right here on USA Global TV.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Diann Boehm. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Diann Floyd Boehm tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diann's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diann's Little Girl in the Moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diann's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diann's delightful books and much more at diannfloydboehm.com. Visit diannfloydboehm.com. That's diannfloydboehm.com.
Networking sucks and people suck at it, but nothing gives me more life than walking around and talking to people in an audience and really being able to identify, okay, I see where you're having trouble, let's work on fixing it. How do you help them? How do you provide value? My goal is to give them those tools to be able to go out and tackle that fear. Anywhere there's coffee is where I'll be. So I bring candy a lot to my speaking engagements. Like, of course that makes sense. I'm a little unconventional.
Ashley was very knowledgeable.
Very entertaining.
I learned a few new things, and to me that's the key.
What do you want them to say? How do you want to be perceived? You're going to get the most direct, tactical tips and practical takeaways when it comes to networking. These two here are super important. You'll remember once the conversation starts.
I love the tips that she gave out. I hate networking with a passion, so I feel like I can go through a meeting or event and not feel so uncomfortable.
When you're going to a presentation, you want to be educated. You also want to be entertained.
She was really fun and really personable, and everything she was saying was just very relatable.
She's got a lot of great ideas.
That will make you stand out so fast.
She comes across as someone that likes what they do and just doesn't try to sell you something.
Activity breeds results. If you're not doing anything, you're not going anywhere.
Just made me want to start networking, which I never thought I'd say before.
A networking strategy that works for you.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello and welcome back to USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. You're watching Fashion, Fitness, Travel, and Leisure. My co-host, the star of our show, Diann Floyd Boehm, is here. And our special guest, Solita Roberts, personal stylist and image coach, is here. In our first segment, Solita shared with us how she had an extensive career in the financial services industry. And due to her height, which she says you're 5 foot, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
She didn't feel she was being taken seriously in power rooms, in boardrooms, in meetings. So she changed her image and her personal style. We also talked about the importance of showing up authentically and doing your research before you meet with people, understanding what their culture is, understanding how to respect their customs and what they believe, but still making it your own. And now in this segment, I'd love to talk about your love of carnivals and also how you work with your clients.
Yes, Carnival. That is my happy place. It's interesting that when the first time like a few of my friends saw me in a costume, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you play mass? You go to Carnival?" Because I am that person. I don't just go to Carnival, I don't just participate, I wear full costume. If you ever saw a carnival costume from Antigua, that's Antigua and Barbuda, you've ever seen a costume from Barbados, Trinidad, Miami, then you know exactly what I'm talking about, but I go bigger, right? I always go bigger because that's my thing. I want to always stand out. I want to always be different. And Carnival allows me to be more of myself. Like on the day to day, there's so many things that you're worried about. You know, especially working in banking, it was like you go to work and it's this way. You have to make sure that the numbers are matching. You have to make sure that clients are being serviced. And Carnival allowed me to be free. Right. That's when you see me in my best elements. I love it. One of the most important things that I love is how they build and structure the costumes, the colors, like how they mix certain colors that you may not have thought about putting together. And that's where my inspiration comes from in terms of wearing colors and being expressive by knowing that, okay, I don't have to wear that black and white. I can wear maybe, yes, I want to wear black pants because maybe the occasion call for that, but I can wear a leopard shirt, or I can wear, something more colorful on the top, or maybe a bag. But having that, immersing myself in the culture and loving the feeling of putting on a costume, being in all that feather and all that bead and all that color, just really helps me to express myself in a way that you will see me on the road and you'll be like, okay, you're a completely different person, because it allowed me to be so much of myself. And that's the thing. When I work with my clients, it's like, how can we bring out more of you by looking at your experiences, by looking at the things that you really enjoy? Because from those activities is where you can help to develop your personal style. It's how you decide, okay, what elements of it do I want to draw in, right? Because most of the time we kind of look at this carbon copy as to, this is how you should get dressed and this is what you should wear. And you Google and you do the YouTube videos as to what are the 10 things that you should have in your closet at all times, and you go and you purchase those and you put it in your closet. But it doesn't necessarily speak to who you are. You're following someone else's guideline instead of really discovering your personal style for you. So whenever I'm working with my clients, there are two ways to work with me. I do personal, in person, and virtual. Most of it is being done virtually, of course, right now because of what's happening. And, going through that first consultation, and there's a link that you can see where you can book that consultation with me. This is where we discuss, like, what are your goals for yourself, for your business, for your career? How do you want to show up? What does that look like? Right? And then I'll give you 2 images and you decide, just looking at it, you're not studying it, but looking at it, what draws you in, which kind of gave me a sense of idea as to where you're going, because subconsciously there are things that we want to do and there's ways that we want to show up, but consciously we're allowing those limitations to hold us back, right? And as a result, we're not doing and wearing and acting and everything that we want to do. So during that process of you identifying, like, oh yeah, I love this costume, I love this costume, that's it. We will go from that and then kind of like tap in. What are some of the music that you listen to? What brings you joy? What lights you up? Because from that is where we develop your personal style. From that initial consultation, this is where we go through that process. And then, of course, deciding what is the best path for you. So currently, I do have, what I'm doing right now is called VIP days, because I know when it comes to time, that's an excuse, and that's something that we say, oh, I don't have the time to do maybe a 7-day workshop. I don't have the time to work for 7 days. Like, okay, what I've decided, I'm going to match you with your time. So for 3 hours, we sit down and we go through, what is your style? How do you want to show up? And kind of craft your signature style. Something that at the end of that, you can continue doing. This is not solutions for the moment, but it's solutions to help you every day, and that's easier. And you still get the opportunity to send me a message and say, hey, Solita, you know what? I got this dress. I thought it was really cool, but I have no idea how to style it. I'm going to this event, or do you think it's appropriate? So we go through that and build that relationship. Because style, it's not just personal to you, as in terms of it tapping into who you are in the inside, because we're doing that work to really pull out who you are in the inside and have that come out on the outside. But it's personal in that my clients share with me very, very personal details, very, very personal things that they're going through, where you may feel self-conscious about your body. It's like, okay, I'm pandemic pounds, I gain a little bit of weight and I'm not as comfortable as I am, or maybe I had a C-section. So there are personal details that my clients will share with me, and we build that relationship. So this is not a one-stop shop where you come in and you get some tips and you go. It's like, no, we have a relationship because we're fostering and going deeper into how you want to show up and really letting go of those barriers. That is important. You have to let go of those barriers and really bring yourself and say, okay, what are my goals? Who am I? How do I want to show up? And let's get it done.
Wow.
Yes, let's make it happen. I love it.
Absolutely. I don't know if I'm going to talk about Carnival more, or the fact that you said that you helped design the signature look for you. I think that's powerful.
Yeah, I mean, both conversations are great, but and when I talk about Carnival, I always like to and show my clients is the things that we love that brings us joy. We can incorporate that into what we wear, right? It is easy to do it. Because if I'm saying I love Carnival, I love the colors, I love the feathers, I love that, but every day I show up in black.
Yeah. Opposites.
Exactly. Right? So I'm beaming every time I talk about Carnival, and I'm happy, but I'm not bringing that same joy to my wardrobe. So we have to look at that. What are things that you love? You love traveling. Where do you love traveling to? Why do you love traveling to that particular area? What is it about the people, the culture, and their aspects of it that you can incorporate into your life? So just to remind you, because I like to say style is a form of self-care. The happier you are with what you're wearing, the happier you will become. You're able to build that level of confidence that you need to do anything you want.
Solita and Diann, I think that this is such a great time for all of us to take a look at our own personal style and our image, because we went from whatever it is we were doing before the pandemic to being in front of this device, wearing maybe just a top and who knows what on the bottom. And, right now I have socks. I have socks on. I have all these beautiful high heels and I never get to wear them anymore. So I'm just wondering, as we make this change, how do we change our look going from being at home to going back into the world? Solita, what are your thoughts? And then I'll ask Diann.
Oh, that's a very good question. I know that's on a lot of person's mind right now, trying to figure out, okay, because especially if you got into the whole frenzy of buying the lingerie and you're buying the work from home outfit, and it's like, oh, I have to go back to the office. What do I do? Right? Because I had a client who sent me a message and she's like, oh, we're going back into the office. What do I wear? I need work clothes now. Right? So there are a lot of persons that's going through that. First of all, what I want to say is look at what you currently have in your closet. You may have gone on a shopping spree, but there probably are some things that you can dress up. Also look at what your company is saying in terms of what that dress code is. Have they relaxed it a little bit? Are they allowing you to where you cannot go with a hoodie, but you can wear more of, maybe you had like some basic t-shirts. Can you wear that with a blazer to go to the office? So still look at what you have in your closet and see how you can incorporate it. But also bear in mind, and if you are not sure, ask the companies that you're working with, what are the dress code, if anything has changed, and how you can incorporate some of the pieces that you have. But you may have to now go out and get some pieces for work because we've been so comfortable. And what I'm finding right now, there are companies that trying to balance that comfort with business. So you're seeing pants right now that are made from that casual loungewear kind of material, but they are more in a dressy format, right? So if that's something that your company would accept and it's okay with, you can start looking at having those comfortable pieces. But remember what your message is. It's easy for us to say, oh, I was so comfortable, I felt so comfortable, because you're working at home, you're home. This is your sanctuary, right? This is your space. But when you're going back into the workplace, when you're going back to being with people, amongst people, and you're thinking more of your goals, and you're seeing more possibilities, seeing what the world has to offer, you have to now say, how do I want to show up? What's my message, right? And wearing something super casual may not be in line with your goals. Maybe you're looking to change industry. Maybe you're looking to start a business of your own. And you have to now determine for yourself, is what I'm wearing or what I choose to wear right now, is this going to get me the life that I want? Is it going to help me not only change my mindset, but also influence persons to be able to give me those opportunities that I need? So we have to manage it from that perspective.
Good direction and advice. I love it. I want to share a slide that one of my friends, who actually is a presenter here, Daphne DeLucci, she created the slide. And I just want to see, what are your thoughts when you look at this image? So when you think of style and fashion, what are your thoughts?
It's clean. It's having this level of sophistication. It's just like, okay, a little bit of sexy, but you're being subtle. So you know, looking at the lady in the top, just having a little bit of shoulder out. It's like, ooh, you know, there's some curiosity there. And I think this is like one of the most beautiful pieces that I've seen. And Dior is one of those brands that I'm like, yes, I love it. It's timeless. When I think about style, because it has evolved a little bit, it's like you have to dress for your times. And we have to now start to look at, do I want to be couture or do I want to be modern? But I do love these.
Yes. Diann, what are your thoughts?
Oh, well, I love the way people dress back then. So feminine, but as you said, there is the sophistication that goes with it. Yeah. And I miss hats. And so even though, quote, we dress for the times, I still wear hats. I probably have over 50 hats in my closet. And I think hats just finish off a dress. It just, you know, just like from the shoes all the way to the hat is just beautiful. But of course, I remember once when I was really young, I wore a hat to an interview. And I thought there was no way I was going to get that job, because I could tell that hat was just bothering that man so much. But somehow it turned out that he actually appreciated that I wore a hat, and I got the job. But I was just like, the whole time I was speaking, I was thinking, he's hating this hat. He's hating this hat.
But hats are timeless pieces. What I would ask you, Dan, was it you were interviewing for a creative role?
No, it was for a receptionist job to help pay for college.
He looked at you and he's like, if she's bold enough to come in here with a hat to an interview, this is the person that I need, because she's going to think outside of the box. She's going to be innovative. She's going to do the things differently. Now, sometimes that's what happens. That person will take that chance because you did something completely different. But it's not necessarily, you know, walking into a room right now with a hat may not work, unless, for me, it's you're doing an interview in a casual setting, still have that business level to it, and you wore a nice stylish hat. And hats are always in. It's a timeless piece.
I love hats also. One thing I want to discuss with both of you is, you know, when I started in the corporate world, it was 1987. And back then, it was always a suit. It was a suit. Every meeting I went into, the clients were in suits. I was in a suit. My boss was in a suit. And then I left that industry, it was telecommunications, and went into the one I just was in. And it changed because there were a lot of creative people in the business. And so what we started seeing was that dress policies then had to be set because people were coming into work. Some people were in suits, other people were wearing this stretch pant, this sweatpants with the elastic, and you've got midriff tops, and you've got the dress code went so far as to address whether or not you had to wear stockings and whether or not you could wear slingback shoes, like if any of your foot was showing. So I'd just love to get your thoughts on, as we go back into the workforce, will there be a new set of guidelines, rules, policies that will transition with where we're going now, wherever that is?
Absolutely. I think there's going to be, well, at least I'm hoping on two levels, there's going to be a shift. First of all, companies are going to, especially those corporate companies where they have a more traditional dress code, they're going to start paying attention to what people are wearing, and they're going to set that tone from the first day. Because we've gotten so comfortable wearing our comfort clothes that it's difficult. It may be difficult for some persons to do that switch. It's like, oh, I don't want to go to the office wearing a suit. And it's like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. So now those companies are going to set the tone and saying, okay, this is what we're allowing and this is what we're not going to allow. So I think it's important that those companies do that from the beginning. Creative fields, and we're talking about tech, we're talking about, being in marketing, any of those industries. Again, because people are so comfortable wearing those comfort clothes, they're going to want to push the envelope. But you have to be mindful, like, in terms of your message. There is no showing up however you want. It's showing up in support of your goals, your mission, and how can you represent that company well. And companies are no longer going to go for people just thinking that, we saw it on Zoom. They just showed up and it's like, okay, did you just roll out of your bed? You cannot go into the workforce like that, because they're looking at productivity level, they're looking at image. However, what I'm hoping that happens is that those companies that have more of a traditional dress code, they start looking at ways in which they can make the dress code a little bit more inclusive. Right? As it stands right now, it's the one size fit all. And I don't think that's where we are right now. So companies need to start paying attention to the changes that's happening and try to look at their dress code that they have and see how much what wiggle room do they have to really make it a little bit more inclusive, allow people to come in as they are with a little bit of personality, but being in a way having a formula. So you may decide that for a company, said, okay, we're allowing a business casual dress code. However, your business casual must be 3 pieces. So you cannot come in there with just a t-shirt and jeans. You have to put a blazer. You have to put some form of outerwear in it.
I love that. That makes it. Yeah, it makes it very inclusive, as you mentioned, and simple to follow. Here's the checklist.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Diann, what do you feel about that?
I agree, and I love the fact that you said inclusive, and I'm hoping some of our listeners are taking that in if they're trying to figure out the dress codes. But I really think we also are moving away, at least before the whole COVID thing, hopefully as we transition back, that we take a hard look at dress codes, but also for schools, because we did become too sloppy. And it was really hard for me. I go into schools and I do readings and so forth of children's books. But before that, I went in as a curriculum director and helped with remaking and designing curriculums for schools. And it would just drive me crazy when people would be wearing their yoga pants and they were so tight that I don't know how the high school kids could think, Yeah. And so I'm really hoping that we get away from the sloppiness. And one thing I always would tell my parents, and meaning parents of the kids that I taught, as well as the kids, come dressed to learn. Because when you are dressed to learn, you feel good about yourself, and you are there, and it's a mindset. If you come sloppy, what do you want to do? You want to slouch on the desk, you want to sit like that, and your brain isn't there. So what do you think about that?
Oh, no, absolutely. What you wear does you know, allow you to be productive. Think about it. If you're not feeling well, what do you normally grab? Your comfort clothes, right? Because you're not feeling well, you need that security. If you're going into an interview, we do it all the time. We're going into an interview and we're going into the closet going, oh my gosh, I need that piece that's going to give me that confidence and set the tone. That's it right there. You decide, are you going to wear the comfort clothes to feel comfortable, but you're not producing to your level. And some persons may say, oh, and this is something that I always get, but Mark Zuckerberg wears the same thing all the time. I'm like, listen to me. First of all, you're not on Mark Zuckerberg's level. Second of all, let's think about it. Would Mark Zuckerberg be as successful as he is if he tried to sell Facebook to your grandmother in a business suit? So it's all about messaging and controlling that and knowing how you want to show up and being able to, what you wear does affect your productivity. It does.
I have a comment to that. Definitely. So I have a routine in the morning, and when I go to sleep, I like it to be very dark and cold. So I wear like a giant robe. Okay, I'm not dating. I'm by myself. There it is. So I wear a giant robe. But when I get up, I wanted to get that giant robe off because my arms are pinned down. I can't really do anything, and I feel lazy. So I immediately changed into something quickly just to do my chores around the house, because now I have more energy, and then I can get showered and do whatever it is I'm going to do. So I definitely think what you wear really will put a limit on how much energy you have, or give you the freedom of movement to have more energy.
Exactly. Absolutely agree. You have to, it's putting your, basically what you're doing, you're telling your mind, I'm going to work. I am going to produce. These are the results that I need. And I'm going to be working for 4 or 5 hours. I need to feel comfortable, and I need to put myself in that mindset. Clothing is a powerful, powerful tool. Anyone that tells me that, no, it's just clothes, think about where you want to go, what you want to do, or think about that one time you put on a dress or you wore something that you got a lot of compliments from, or you were able to go out there and you were like, who's this person? Like, I just did that. The confidence that you get from it, it is a powerful tool. It allows you to be who you want to be and really show up like, yeah. So embrace it.
I think it even applies to when you work out. Like, for example, if you're going to go to a hot yoga class, because I love hot yoga, and you're wearing like heavy clothing where you're going to be sweating, your body can't breathe, you're probably not going to perform as well. Or if you're going to go to the gym to lift weights and you're wearing like little tiny shorts and you're going to be lying on a bench doing leg, no, I don't think so. You know what I mean? So,
exactly. Those are perfect examples. Like, those are perfect examples. I think most of the times when we think about style and getting dressed, the thing that's limiting most of my clients from really stepping out, it's other people's opinion, the body shaming, the, you know, you're trying too much. But if you think about it, you have to, a baseball player cannot go and play baseball in a volleyball player outfit. It's just like, you have to dress for the role and how you want to feel to be able to execute and do your job well. So why not embrace it? It is your superpower. Put it on and define it for yourself. And I think this is one of the problems as well. Most persons don't have a defined style. Whatever the stores are telling them to buy, they go and buy that. Whatever they Google, they go and do that. Like, who are you? Start thinking about it from that aspect. Like, who am I and how do I want to show up?
I love that too. Something else I learned. So we live in a beach town, and it's the height of the season. It's packed, right? You've got the renters coming in, the people here. So when I go for my walks, which, by the way, I'm completely covered up with a giant hat, sunglasses, long sleeves, because I don't want any sun. There are literally throngs of young people going to the beach. And what I noticed is that they're actually walking barefoot. Let's say it's 4 blocks to the beach. They have no shoes on, and they're wearing the tiniest of bathing suits, tiny, all body types, tiny bathing suits. Mm-hmm. I remember me, I would be like covered up and this and that. And I thought, wow, I wish I had that kind of confidence to just be comfortable in my own skin, regardless of what body shape, because there are all kinds of body shapes wearing all kinds. So there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, and that's when that comes from you doing the work on the inside and saying, you know what, who am I? Like, this is who I am. I'm getting rid of all those barriers. I am living my one life to the best of my ability. And I'm going to the beach, I'm not going in a full tracksuit. Right? You
I
make that
love
decision
that.
for yourself. So yeah.
Yeah.
Your
It's very
clients
internal.
must be so happy because they come in looking for how to improve themselves, and when they leave, they have a signature and they're making a new impact. Is that correct?
Yes, that is absolutely correct. You're embracing that's, I call it like that secret side. So I usually do like a style persona. We all think about, oh, I wish, like you just said, Dr. Jacalyn, you wish that you can do that. It's like, why can't you do that? Okay, so I'm not gonna say go wear a string bikini and go on the beach, but let's look at what you're currently wearing, and can we get it to that level where you're comfortable but you're not hiding?
I love that. Not hiding. That's great.
You'll have your superpower. I love that you said that.
Exactly.
Solita, another question I have for you. Some group of people will be working from home, right? Some people are not going to be going back to an office. And I always find, especially when I'm interviewing people, sometimes I'm literally speechless at their background. You know, it's a bed, it's clothing. One person was in a bathroom. So when you work with people for their image, do you talk to them about the image that they give about their surroundings and their background as well?
Yes, if that individual does a lot of calls, virtual, and they're on that, like that's specifically what their business is about, we do talk about that, because your background is important. That's that, again, first impression is important, right? People are looking at every single thing. We can sit down and say, oh, people should not judge us. It's like, I'm coming on here, I have my expertise, and I have my credentials, and I have this, like, this is who I am. People are going to judge you. I put it as simple as this. When you go to the supermarket and you look at the apples and the oranges, you don't just go, oh, apples and oranges, let me pick it up and just walk out. You examine it to see, okay, is it soft? Is it, is it of good quality? Like, you examine it. This is what we do. Sense of sight is what we use to engage in a lot of things. People are going to pay attention to what's happening there. So if it's too busy, like what you wear, you don't want it to distract from your message. For those of you who are looking at us right now, if we came on here and you saw my bed, because we have to think about it that way, you saw my bed and you saw people walking, constantly passing or something like that, and it's like a bunch of confusion. And I'm telling you, I'm your personal stylist. I'm your image coach. I am going to help you show up as your best self and make that great first impression that you have. What would you think of me?
Not very much.
Exactly. And you have to think about it that way. You may not be a personal stylist or an image coach, but you are selling yourself to an audience. You're selling yourself to an individual. And that individual needs to know that you will treat them in a manner that they want to be treated. So we have to pay attention, clear it away. There's so many things, there's so many things that you can do if you don't have like a clean space. Even if you had a bed, I had a client the other day who we're on a call and she's like, oh, my in-laws are here, so I'm in my bedroom. But what she did, there was like a divider, something that she bought in Walmart that she put behind her so you don't see her bed. So we were walking through that, because at one point when she came on, I saw it and she said, can you see it? And we were going through it. It's like, okay, what you need to do is bring it closer to you. So it's going to be in that frame. Whether or not, if you put it on the back, it's not in the frame. But if I bring it closer, it creates this clean line. So it doesn't matter what space you're in. You can create a great first impression, not only in your background, but also the way you present yourself on those calls.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. I'm having so much fun. I've got more stuff I want to talk about. So something else, I think to take it to another level, which I'm just going to go by having been in a sales career for 20 some years. A person's car, if you're in sales, you might be doing drive-alongs with your boss, you're picking up customers, and you go to the car, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to get, people don't even realize that the way you keep your car says a lot about you. And also, you open your briefcase and you have food packaging, like all kinds of stuff, or your handbag, people are rooting around and you happen to be sitting there. So I think that anything that you are giving potential clients an opportunity to witness, you have to take into consider, even your clients, potential clients, it doesn't matter. People are going to make an assessment based on what they see with their eyes.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I always make sure my car gets completely cleaned out.
Yeah, even if you can't, even if the car's not, the outside isn't, you can't go to the car wash every other day. But I'm saying the inside should be neat and clean if someone's going to be riding along with you. Another thing I wanted to mention, I used to purchase a lot of clothes that had to be dry cleaned. And during the pandemic, I said, I don't want to be buying, I buy secondary clothes now because of sustainability and whatnot. Yeah. But I have a bunch of clothes that are downstairs that need to go to a dry cleaner since last year when I was actually going into a TV station. And I haven't taken them because I started researching about the chemicals going into the water and all of these other things. So I'm just wondering, does a person have to wear something that's dry cleaned, that's pressed a certain way? What are your thoughts about fabrics that can create a good image?
And that's a good point that you make. Maintenance and also your personal values and belief. And this is why when I'm working with my clients, it's like, what's important to you? Because if you're looking at the environment, if that's important to you, if you're looking at sustainability, you're looking at, supporting small businesses, then we have to look at places that you can shop that's in alignment with your values, right? So you having like all these pieces that needs to be dry clean, but you're in a different space right now, that's okay. And I think it's a sense of growth, of you recognizing that, okay, I'm in a different space. I want to be more conscious of my contributions to the world. So that simply means when you're shopping now, it's being conscious of, does this piece need to be dry clean? If it is, when you read the instructions before you purchase it, if it is, because of your values and where you are right now, you wouldn't get that piece, right? No matter how beautiful it is, because you're staying in alignment with who you are. So I think that's an important thing that you mentioned that I also want our viewers to know. It's like, tap into your values, and based on that, this is where you know which brands and where to shop and how to support which brands to support.
Wow. Excellent.
Excellent. Thank you. One more question just popped into my head. So what about when it comes to style? We'll be here for 3 hours. When it comes to style, what about fashion trends that come back? Should you be on the cutting edge with trends? In other words, remember, I'm really dating myself, bell bottoms.
I love bell bottoms.
Bell bottoms. I don't know if they're back now or not. But so should you look at Vogue magazine and Cosmopolitan and you say, hey, I have X amount of dollars to spend on something and I'm going to go with this, which clearly looks like a trend? Or should you just do the more conservative, timeless type of look?
I am not a person who is into trends. Like, I don't. I think because it changes so quickly. Right. So even though something may come in, a particular trend may resurface and come back this year, it will take a while for it to come again. Right. And it limits, because when most persons, we buy the trend, we wear it for that particular season, and then we stick it in the back of the closet going, oh my gosh, I spent so much in this. I wish I can wear it. It was so beautiful. It's like, no, if it's not a trend that's timeless, because there are timeless trends that you can buy and you can wear regardless of straw hats, straw bags. It doesn't matter what you do, it will forever be, you will have a place for it. But bell bottoms, if it's not your personal style, as in you would wear it regardless of the season, the time, the trends, don't get it. I do not believe in trends. That's a sure way of you actually wasting monies if you're following trends, because every 2 seconds there's a new trend. And if you're tapping into that, at the end of the day, you're looking at your closet and you have all these trendy pieces. They don't necessarily go together. And you're standing there looking at your closet in despair going, I have nothing to wear.
Exactly.
That's right.
I am actually laughing because when I brought up bell bottoms, I wasn't even thinking that I actually had any bell bottoms. But as you were talking, I thought before the pandemic, I bought this pair of black bell bottoms that have lining, and then up the side they're lace, and they're so long. The tags are still on them. I remember when I got them and I brought them home, because I don't like to return anything because somebody was making commission, so I always keep it. But so I had to wear like 6-inch heeled shoes, and I was walking around the house and I thought, I'm going to kill myself in these because they're so long. And I never wore them. They're in, I don't even know where they're, somewhere in this house. What a waste of money that was.
Yes. Yeah. And that's because sometimes we buy on impulse, and we buy, to feel good. But I think the important thing is you look at where you are and where you're going and what you like. There are pieces that you may say, I wanted an investment piece. Make your list. Just like you go grocery shopping and you make a list. You don't just walk into the supermarket and go, ooh. Then you get to the cash register and it's like, oh, wow. Make a list. What are some of the pieces that you want to add to your closet, right? Maybe, you've always wanted to add a trendy piece to your closet because you're going to wear it. You've already identified occasions. You've already identified lifestyle activities that you're going to be wearing it to. And then you go to your list. Is bell bottoms on my list? No, it's not. Oh, that's a beautiful piece on that person. Great to see that bell bottoms are coming. Move on.
Next.
Absolutely.
Solita, I would love to have you back on and talk about the role or not that accessories, that makeup, personal hygiene, hairstyles, hair care, that has on image.
Yes, I mean, I would love that. I think it's again, for those specific pieces, I think it's personal and we can identify what works for you, what doesn't work for you. One of the things that I try not to do is to tell an individual where exactly. It's like, no, we go back to the work that I do, identifying who you are, what are some of the things that you like. You may not be a makeup person, right? And it's like, how can we still make your look, elevate your look, even though you don't wear makeup? So I would absolutely welcome the opportunity to have that conversation.
Wonderful.
Fantastic. And when I think about Oprah, I love her. And I don't know if Ellen's ever done this, but different talk show hosts over the years, they have people come on and they transform them, right? They agree that they're going to get a makeover. And you see how happy the people are afterwards because they didn't know what to do. And you give them the tools and they have the confidence. And then it's like, they're spreading their love all over the world. So love to have you back to discuss about that and these other things.
Yes.
So Solita, what's the best way for people to reach you and who should contact you?
So thank you very much again. As I said, it's such a pleasure being able to be here and share with you, with your guests. And to contact me, you can reach me on my website, which is www.styletoimpact.com. You can also email me at Solita, Solita, at styletoimpact.com. There's also, if you're thinking, okay, I am ready to move forward, I need to get on your calendar, you'll see it scrolling there where you can schedule a style consultation with me. So those are some of the ways that you can get in contact with me. If you're on social and you want to check out what I'm doing there first, you can reach me on LinkedIn, Solita C. Roberts.
I love that name, Solita, by the way. So I never met a Solita. So.
Thank you.
Makes
Thank
you want
you.
to sing.
Solita. All right, Solita, thank you so much. Have a lovely weekend, and we'll look forward to having you back on the show.
Yes, thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here.
Thanks, Solita.
Thank you. And by the way, to watch the show, you can go over to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV, or you can watch us on Facebook under Dr. Jacalyn's interviews, or LinkedIn, Dr. Jet, or on and on and on. So just go to USA Global TV on YouTube and subscribe. That would be terrific. Yes. All right. Thank you, Solita Roberts.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Diann, what's the best way for people to reach you, and who should reach out to you?
I hope everybody will reach out to me, especially if you love reading. So Diann, www.diannfloydboehm.com, DiannFloydBoehm.com. And I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook, everywhere.
Fantastic.
And on your show.
So. Yes, you are right here on this show. All right. Thank you, Diann. Have a wonderful weekend. It was great to see you, and I look forward to catching up with you.
Okay, great. Take care. Happy Friday.
Thank you. Happy Friday. Bye-bye. I just wanted to announce to everybody watching and listening, whether it's today or in the future, that I've decided to ramp up my game and take on a new challenge. I was listening in on Clubhouse to Breakfast with Champions. I try to tune in there as often as I can, and I'm always gleaming pieces of information, which, by the way, I'm not a paid spokesperson, and I don't even know most of the people who are on there, but I pick up little tidbits. So I am looking for a community of people to join me in the 75 Hard Challenge. What is this? So there's a book that's been written, and people all over the world are taking this challenge. Some people have taken it numerous times and have failed, but basically it's 75 days where you exercise twice a day for 45 minutes each time. Now, you can do whatever you want. You could walk for 45 minutes. The only stipulation is, out of those 2 opportunities to exercise, one of them must be outside. The second is you have to drink a gallon of water. And again, this is my understanding. If I'm getting it wrong, please forgive me. You can get the book, 75 Hard Challenge. The third is you have to give up certain foods, but you can follow pretty much any diet that you want. So for example, you have to give up, for me, cheese and Chardonnay. They're my 2 things that I have to give up. And the next thing is that you have to read 10 pages of an educational book, magazine, whatever it might be, but it's something where you can actually learn. And I think that these are the requirements. So it's for 75 days. So I'm starting September the 1st, and I think I'll be finished November the 14th. And if you would like to join me and help me start a community of people doing the 75 Hard Challenge, please let me know. How can you find me? Let me see if I can find my own banner. You can contact me at Jacalyn at drjacalyn.com. And of course, I cannot find my own banners. And always the way. So it's Jacalyn, Jacalyn. I'll just use this banner. Jacalyn at drjacalyn.com. Let me know that you watched the show and you want to do the 75 Hard Challenge. And we will be supporting each other as we go through this wonderful opportunity. You can also get a free copy of my ebook, which is Behind the Green Screen. And you can email me again, Jacalyn at drjacalyn.com. Thank you so much. Our next show coming up is at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 8 p.m. British Summer Time, and it is A Better You. And guess who's going to be on A Better You? The lovely Diann Floyd Boehm. And Teuta is also joining her, so we look forward to that. 2 fantastic lessons. And then after that, we have presenting Pet Psychic Amina, and our guest is welcoming back Alex Utterman. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much. Remember, subscribe to USA Global TV on YouTube and follow all of our programming. Thank you. Thanks, Diann. Thanks, Solita.